Pakistan's Islamabad suffered a suicide bombing attack that caused dozens of casualties and was heartbreaking. I posted immediately to mourn the deceased. The previous day, a car bomb attack had just occurred in India's Delhi, leading many to suspect India's involvement. JUA, a TTP branch in Afghanistan, has publicly claimed responsibility for the Islamabad court explosion. Although TTP itself denies it, Pakistan's military and analysts believe they are the masterminds. This type of attack marks TTP's over 600th incident this year, mainly targeting Pakistani government institutions. At the same time, Pakistan's military accuses India of intervening in the terror attack and claims to have provided support, but India denies it. In my view, the mutual accusations from both sides will eventually fizzle out due to lack of direct evidence, but hostility between the two countries will certainly escalate again. I remind Muslims in India to stay vigilant for safety. In my previous videos, I have repeatedly mentioned that Modi is at the lowest point of his political career. He has suffered successive humiliations from Xi Jinping and Trump. The Bharat cow dung empire myth he promoted has completely collapsed. Trump keeps emphasizing in public that India suffered heavy losses in the Sindoor operation, with 5 to 8 fighter jets shot down. Modi's hatred toward Trump and Pakistan is extremely deep. However, we all know he is a coward. He dares not retaliate against the US, but attacking Pakistan and oppressing Muslims are his habitual actions. This channel has always emphasized evidence. Therefore, without publicly conclusive proof, all analyses remain non-conclusive. In this video, we can only speculate whether the turmoil in South Asia is manipulated by Modi, or if a larger hand is behind it. As everyone knows, when Chinese people appear in a place, ports, railways, bridges, schools, hospitals, and factories will be built there. When Americans appear in a place, war breaks out. When U.S. Vice President Vance visited India, the Kashmir attack erupted. Without any conclusive evidence, Modi did not immediately round up the criminals. Instead, he quickly blamed Pakistan and ordered the military to provoke, triggering the India-Pakistan conflict and the large-scale air battle on May 7th. As a result, India suffered a crushing defeat in the air battle. The U.S. immediately stated that India's war had nothing to do with the U.S. Trump said on camera that he does not like India and Pakistan fighting. If combat does not stop, he will not do business with them. But I am curious why the terror attack happened right after Vance arrived in India, followed by war. Similarly, after the ceasefire between India and Pakistan, India was wildly mocked by global media. Yet, as the U.S. president, why does Trump repeatedly provoke Modi in public? Is it merely because Modi rejected his trade blackmail? If the U.S. wants to pressure India, it does not need to use his personal name for verbal attacks and humiliate Modi. After all, India heavily depends on the U.S. for trade, H-1B visas, and remittances from overseas Indians. India has no capital to fight back against the U.S. Why does he insist on doing this? I mocked him because Modi caused him to miss the Nobel Peace Prize, and he is retaliating against Modi. Now thinking about it, he deliberately wants Modi to lose emotional control and do something extreme. During the India-Pakistan air battle, the U.S. prohibited Pakistan's Air Force from using F-16 in combat. Pakistan's Air Force used Chinese weapons to severely damage India. But after the air battle ended, Trump invited Pakistan's Marshal Munir to visit the U.S. with grand hospitality. Later, he announced joint rare earth development with Pakistan. My interpretation is an attempt to divide China and Pakistan's relationship. However, I am not worried, because the friendship between China and Pakistan has been tested over decades by generations, and will not easily change due to U.S. provocation. But now thinking about it, it perfectly fits the current situation. Trump wants to enrage Modi and make him take risks. A commenter said, "If two fish are fighting in a river, a long-legged Englishman has just passed by." Yes, this is an excellent metaphor. Back then, India could have become dozens of independent small states for mutual checks and balances. It could also have been a unified large country including today's Bangladesh, Pakistan, and India to form a federation. That way, the proportions of Muslims and Hindus would be closer for mutual restraint. But the British chose the complex Mountbatten plan. Bengal and Pakistan were separated by India. The number of Muslims in India is far less than Hindus. A chaotic and imbalanced system is exactly what the British wanted. Anglo-Saxons provoke conflicts and play the mediator role. This script has been performed for hundreds of years. It is their secret to ruling the world. When it comes to evil, no one surpasses them. I wonder if India had won decisively against Pakistan in the air battle and launched a full-scale offensive, the U.S. attitude toward India might have changed immediately. Because what Americans want is to cut off the China-Pakistan economic corridor and block China's access to the Middle East. They must keep the two major South Asian powers in conflict. They cannot let China and Pakistan build roads and bridges to develop the economy. Sometimes I wonder why Americans spent so much to conquer Afghanistan and then suddenly withdrew. Simplifying the process, did the U.S. transport large amounts of modern equipment, weapons, and ammunition to the poor Taliban to give them the capability to confront Pakistan? Now seeing the Taliban getting closer to India, do we smell a familiar scent? Perhaps for Modi, the motive to provoke conflict is to escalate tensions between Hindus and Muslims inside the country. This shifts public focus from his governance failures to religious opposition. He can stage false flag operations or provoke Pakistan. He has both the motive and the capability. Before the case is solved, he is undoubtedly the prime suspect. Because of bilateral confrontation, domestic populism rises, and Modi benefits the most. I think it is time for the Chinese government to change its idea of purely peaceful rise. China still advocates peace, but at the same time, it must draw a sharp sword to pave the way for peace. If India remains unwilling to follow peaceful order in South Asia and always wants to start wars, China should not only increase support for Pakistan, but also explicitly strengthen border military deployments. In moments of danger for Pakistan, China should directly send troops to participate in combat and completely eliminate India's ability to threaten South Asian peace. China can even explicitly abandon the non-alignment policy and sign clear military alliance treaties with Pakistan and Bangladesh. This ensures China's access to energy powers like Saudi Arabia in the Middle East. These countries are also key for Chinese investment. Besides energy in the Middle East, China has huge premium markets to protect. We cannot be bystanders watching Pakistan and India accuse each other and engage in boring verbal fights. We need actions to defend China's interests and clearly declare to Modi that invading Pakistan means invading China. China will never allow it. We should not spread various conspiracy theories, but we also need reasonable suspicion and proper preparation for all possible bad scenarios. After all, we cannot stake national interests on the assumption that Modi has a shred of conscience. Strengthening aid and, if necessary, dispatching troops to help Pakistan fully stabilize its domestic situation and focus on economic development brings huge benefits to China. Letting the military participate in real combat is also a necessary measure to verify national defense strength. Therefore, it is time to teach Modi a lesson. You can never expect to build friendship with a snake. Pakistani brothers must always remember that when a snake is beside you, never put down the stick in your hand and never fall asleep. As soon as there is an opportunity, strike it without hesitation.